Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBaron's Casino. Tommy Krysan joining us over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood every Wednesday, Friday. TK's over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. I'm in an undisclosed location presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Go to lasportshall.com. Get your tickets for this summer's Hall of Fame induction, June 20th through 22nd, where Drew Brees will be in that class, being inducted this summer. Of course, Drew was the king of Washington, D.C. Mardi Gras. Give us a follow on social media. You'll see some pics and videos from that at lasportshall.com. And, of course, we're presented by LeBaron's Casino, our title sponsor of everything sports shorts. LeBaron's getting ready for a big Super Bowl party, not this Sunday, next, at their sports book. It will be rocking. The place to be, no doubt about it, at LeBaron's Casino. They'll be having a great event for the Super Bowl. So if you're looking for a place, you don't want to just be the only one at home cheering for Taylor Swift and the Chiefs. You can go be with a lot of peeps, as they will be, I think, the folks that people are pulling for the most around the country. All right, Tommy, besides the Super Bowl, where the 49ers are still favored, the line, I guess, swung back up, right? The money swung back up. It went from 2.5 for the 49ers as a 2.5-point favorite down to 1, and then now it's kind of hovering at 2. So settling, looking like the 49ers probably will be at least favored unless something crazy happens over the next 2 weeks. PGA has a big announcement that Tommy will tell you about, some changes potentially with the PGA Tour. The Pelicans are struggling. A lot of basketball in general in the state of Louisiana is in a struggle bus. The Pels have lost 3 in a row, and a couple of those have been blowouts. They did cover the other night when they were an 8.5-point dog to the Celtics. They lost by 6. LSU men's and women's basketball are in a tough spell right now. LSU women have lost 2 in a row. That is not something that we expected to say this year. They were preseason number 1 in the country, but yet they've now lost 3 games this season. And the issues, Tommy, with LSU women's basketball are the same 2 that they have had at the beginning of the year, and it's the same 2 that they're going to have for the rest of the year. But due to injuries in the transfer portal and whatnot, they don't have a bench. They played 3 players off the bench for a combined 21 minutes. Had like 1 rebound, 1 assist, 4 or 5 points, and 4 fouls between those 3 players. So you're not getting anything other than you're just literally trying to get them rest, or if someone fouls out. And they can't shoot the ball from 3-point range. They are abysmal. Tommy, I'm telling you, you and I could be as good as LSU women are shooting the basketball from the 3. They just don't do it. It's not a part of their game. And when they try to do it, they just don't have enough players who can. And the Van Leith girl has not lived up to the hype. She has not, I mean, especially the last few games. The game against Mississippi State, she had 1 bucket maybe. I mean, this is somebody who's supposed to be, a dude. I mean, she's supposed to be like the real deal, $1 million plus NIL, superstar, the whole 9. And she's not lived up to the hype. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if what the style of play is hindering her in some way, but right now she 1 for 6, 2 for 9. It's bad. She's not really doing anything.
Well, you add that to the list of the reasons this team's probably not going to win a national championship. I mean, they're going to make the tournament, yeah. They're going to win the first couple games of the tournament, yeah, because the opponents will be very weak. But they don't at the depth. Van Lith has not lived up to expectations. The injuries, the portal. Michaela Williams can get hot, but she wasn't hot the other night. So you add all that together, and that's why you've lost a couple in a row. You're still going to be ranked. You're still going to be formidable and still capable of beating anybody on any given night. And look, you just got to defer to Kim Mulkey. She's an elite coach. Her resume speaks for itself. She knows what it is. She'll address it. She'll fix what she can during this season, and then she'll make sure next year's, a different story.
With the men, it feels like Cinderella has struck midnight, right? Like they kind of exerted some energy, had a nice 2 weeks, and now it looks like they're back to just being that team that we thought they were.
Yeah, it looked like that team that we saw before January 1, okay? And they had a couple of nice games, but, it's a grind, and they're not playing like they once did, and it's not so sure they can turn it around. Maybe not. And, I think the women, will be better off going forward than the men, unless the men can get hot again. You got to score the basketball and then protect it. Score it, don't turn it over, and your chances to win go up. And that's what that team's going to have to do. They can't afford to not play their A game and win, like great teams cannot have a good day and still get a W.
Super Bowl, between now and the time the Super Bowl happens, it just seems like the storyline, the number one story is Taylor Swift, and will she make it to the game on time, which she will. By the way, Taylor Swift in concert on Saturday, the day before the Super Bowl, in Tokyo, Japan. So she's, as soon as the show's over with, she's going to catch I'm sure, a private jet to Las Vegas because of the timeline and all that kind of stuff. She'll be fine as far as being able to arrive and get there on time, maybe even, as much as they're saying the night before. But there's been some analysis done. It's kind of like anything. Anytime you're overexposed, which Taylor Swift is, you've got the lovers and you got the haters. But they're saying that just her dating Travis Kelce this season, all the attention that she's brought, there's an analysis done that she's brought over $350 million in value and marketing value, new sponsorships and marketing to a new audience to the NFL. Are you buying that?
I don't know if I buy that number, but she's had an impact, and it may be that big or close to that big. And in the NFL, which is a business, a multi-billion-dollar business, it's all about the eyeballs on TV. TV money is what fuels the NFL and many, many sports operations. So TV money, and if they think that that's the impact, then that must be it. And, you can't go more than 5 minutes on social media without something about Taylor Swift or Kelce or them kissing after the game the other day, or, the impact, and, Tony Romo doesn't know their status. I mean, it's just everywhere. Okay, it's a marketing phenomenon. That window's going to close sooner or later, but right now it's the hottest thing going in the NFL. And I think that works to the 49ers' advantage, okay? They got Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, and all this other stuff, and the 49ers just quietly going about their business, and they're not worried about all of that. And one reason the line might have jumped back to 2. It opened to 2.5, down to 1, back to 2. One of the defensive linemen for the Chiefs tore his ACL against the Ravens. And he is not going to play in the Super Bowl. It's not day to day. It's not question. He's out.
There's two starting defensive linemen for the Chiefs that aren't going to be playing.
Well, Chris Jones isn't 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The kid from Mississippi State. But that other one, I can't even say his last name. He's out. It's 100% out. So that might be part of it there. But, man, but if you just break it down, look at the football game, on paper, it looks like it's going to be a hell of a game. It's like it's going to go down to the wire, it can be overtime, all that stuff. Now, just as soon as you think that, it won't go that way. But, no, it's going to be I'll certainly be watching. Are you going to Vegas?
I am not. I'll actually be in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, yeah, you're going to Phoenix. That's
Waste
right.
management. Well, what's the over-under total, Tommy? Can you look that up?
47.5.
47.5. Going in, you would think it would be a defensive scoring game. I mean, that's on paper. You got two defenses that have played extremely well. Did you see, so, I mean, it always usually seems to go the opposite of what you think. But, I mean, I would anticipate it in my mind. 24-21 to me feels really good. I mean, obviously you look at what the Chiefs have done defensively on the road in Buffalo and on the road in Baltimore, why you would think that they would slow down at this point. And then the 49ers, I mean, they've hung their hat for the last 5 years on that defense. So I anticipate, I would think that it would be somewhat of a low-scoring game. If I had to go and make a decision on the over-under, I would lean towards the under. I
would lean to the under as well, with two things that make me not lean real hard. Deebo Samuel can score from anywhere on the field. So can Christian McCaffrey. Okay, so they got that big play. He can turn that 5-yard pass into flat. Samuel can into an 80-yard touchdown. McCaffrey, and Kelce is not gonna outrun anybody. Okay, is he going to catch the ball when it's 3rd and 12 for 15 yards? Yes. And I don't know. I today, as we sit here today, I would lean with the under.
Did you see the storyline? We'll get back to Taylor Swift in a sec, but did you see the storyline about that went viral? The Kansas City Chief fan who was on the construction team of the Raiders stadium that buried the flag underneath the stadium. He took a picture when they were building the stadium years ago. He took a picture holding up a little Chiefs flag, and then allegedly he put that flag in the dirt that was then, obviously concrete poured over it, all that kind of stuff. That's pretty neat if it's true.
He put it where he thinks the 50-yard line would have been. Because once some stadiums start getting up, you can almost figure that out. Funny story, Ronnie. Before Camden Yards opened in Baltimore, I was at a national recreation convention, and we took an ice chest and we jumped a fence, and it was pretty close to being done. And we put the ice chest where we thought home plate would be, just kind of looking, and a bunch of 4 or 5 of us just drinking beer and acting like we were in Camden Yards. We were in Camden Yards. And all of a sudden, like the cops with the lights, flashlights, what are you guys doing in here? Oh, well, that gate over there was open. Well, he goes, that wasn't open. Well, okay, we jumped the fence. Y'all get out of here. I mean, we didn't get in trouble, but we kind of sat there where we thought home plate would be. It was probably within 6 months of that stadium opening. That was pretty fun in Baltimore that night.
Speaking of Baltimore, look like they're going to be sold. The Angelos family bought the team 30 years ago for $176 million. They're expected to sell it for $1.76 billion. A little 10 times profit, not bad.
Good ROI.
Yeah, I would say. And they're basically going to sell to a Vesta group and all that kind of stuff. But Camden Yards, speaking of, they did do a deal a few months ago, which is also one of the reasons why they're selling a 15-year deal. So they're going to be the Orioles will stay in Camden Yards for at least another 15 years. And then there's like a 15-year option remodel type thing on the other end for the city. So Camden Yards, who was like that first old stadium, it was kind of the first of the renovated old stadiums look that now we've seen many times since, but as Camden was open in the 90s. And before that, they played, in a football, baseball, oval stadium. Was it Memorial? Or I can't remember the name of the stadium that they used to play with a Colts.
Memorial Stadium would have been
Colts and Orioles.
Municipal Stadium was in Detroit. Yeah, I think it was Memorial Stadium.
Yeah. Anyway, it was just one of those cookie cutter kind of ballparks, really not made for baseball. And Camden Yards was like just amazing, state of the art, kind of just gorgeous in the sense that it had the old look and the history, but yet it was brand new. And it was kind of the model that a lot of fields were used to create.
Ronnie, are you old enough to remember? I'm a little bit older than you. Are you old enough to remember you could watch the NFL game and the baseball diamond was in the field?
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure.
Yeah, like certainly in Oakland. I remember that vividly. Because the Raiders would be on TV a lot in the 70s because of John Madden and Stabler and all that. And, I mean, they literally had they'd have to cut the mound down and flatten it. I mean, and if you look up some old NFL films, you'll see that. And, of course, that's when the goalposts were on the goal line, not the back of the end zone. And, I mean, there were many a guy who ran into those posts.
I mean, the Raiders were, until they moved to Vegas, they were doing that. I mean, that was recent. They played in the same stadium the Raiders did in Oakland up until literally when they moved to Las Vegas. You played on a field that had that cutout. It was and look, and most famously Philadelphia, where the Eagles play and where the Phillies play, they share that stadium. That is where Wendell Davis broke both of his kneecaps and sued the NFL and sued the stadium when he landed on a seam, on the infield outfield seam. When he went up to catch a ball, came down, both of his kneecaps dislocated, shoved up into his thighs, and ended his career. And he got a big settlement, and that kind of led to, that was they started changing the ballparks and the turf, and they're going with a different type of turf and all that kind of stuff. That was 30 years ago. And in the last 30 years, things have changed quite dramatically. But it's funny how the old oval multi-use ballpark, that like the Astrodome kind of thing, in the 60s and 70s, those things, late 60s, early 70s, those stadiums were being built because they thought, oh, this is great diversity and you can use them for lots of types of different events. And then quickly, 30 years later, people were like, ooh, these things are gross. Like tear them down, build something new.
Well, Ronnie, I can remember when I was playing baseball at Southeastern, Northwestern State had a turf infield. They were the only ones that we knew anywhere in the South that had that. And it was, Ronnie, it was concrete. Imagine today, concrete with a real thin piece of carpet laying on top of the concrete. That's what it was. And what I do remember, and that's happened in the Dome when you played there, like if a pop-up hit the turf at Northwestern State, it bounced almost 100 feet in the air. I mean, it was concrete. And, and then nobody knew how to stay down on the ground ball that everybody knows now. But I remember that. It was like, going to Northwestern State, oh, wait, they got the turf. This is going to be unbelievable kind of thing. I remember that. They still have turf on the infield up there, don't they? Their whole field's turf now, right?
No, just the infield is turf.
But not the same one, I can promise you.
Not the same one. I mean, when you played, that was like garden turf at your grandma's house out on the patio.
Exactly. I mean, it was 100%. It was that's what it was.
Yeah, and they ended up I know a couple of times Northwestern State ended up getting parts of Superdome turf, like when they would redo theirs, and they had the old turf. They would cut up pieces and send it elsewhere. And I think at least once or twice, they got Superdome turf. But now they use the turf like everybody has at Parkview Baptist or any high school, college that's Southeastern. They all use that same sort
Nichols
of sports turf.
Yeah, Nichols has got it too. So
yeah,
McNeese's whole field's turf, correct?
McNeese's whole field is turf, correct? Yes.
And that's where the Gumbo Gators are going to play, right?
That's right. Gumbo Gators starting May 30th. The Baton Rouge Rougarous first opponent, May 30th and May 31st, will be in Baton Rouge against the Lake Charles Gumbo Gators, brand new team in the Texas Collegiate League. Tell us about the PGA Tour. Big event going on. Big news on the PGA this week.
Well, the PGA announced that they formed a partnership with the Strategic Sports Group, $1.5 billion. That's what it be. And that's going to infuse some money into the purses and the fan experience at the event and all this stuff. Just kind of not window dressing, a little more than that, but just some things like that. What I think this will cause is the much anticipated deal between Live Golf and PGA Tour Enterprises, which is a new company formed by the PGA Tour of America. So it's moving in that direction now. And I would think within a year that the whole golf world is back together, kumbaya, and you might have a live event, but they're gonna figure it all out for the Ryder Cup, the President's Cup, the Olympics, whatever's going to go on, tour events, world golf rankings, all of that's going to be smoothed out, I believe, in the next year.
So the PGA Tour doing this $1.5 billion influx or infusion of money from the Strategic Sports Group, which, by the way, the Atlanta Falcons owner is a part of. A lot of professional sports, sports team owners are in this. Is basically going to infuse them some money so that they can kind of appeal to a new audience with some trying to change up maybe a little bit on how they put on these events and how they can make it more fan friendly, as well as increase the purses and do some things similar to maybe what the Live Tour does. So you anticipate there still being some live events, but much like the European Tour and other tours, just all kind of under that umbrella where they all kumbaya, and points you earn can kind of move and add to President's Cup teams and FedEx points and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, and the stumbling block there is the PGA Tour pretty much has a 52-week schedule or 48-week schedule. So they're not going to want to live event opposite, a big event now. New Orleans is in that, they're not a major event. They're not real small. Places like Milwaukee and a few other places are smaller events. So again, because when they have a golf tournament, it's all about the field in the golf tournament. In the Pebble Beach Pro-Am this week, 14 of the top 15 golfers in the world are in the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Okay, that's what TV wants. That's what the golf organizations want. The strong field. not like that tournament they play opposite of the British Open down in the Bahamas or something. You might know 2 names in that field of 144 golfers or whatever it is for that tournament. That's so they're going to be careful to do that, where you're not going to have, a big time tournament like the Houston Open is really big. It used to always be before the Masters. It's like a tune up to the Masters. But they're not going to want to live thing that week, and certainly not opposite the 4 majors or not opposite the Players Championship, with quote unquote 5th major. So there's a lot of work to be done in the meeting room to iron all this stuff out. And, not everybody's going to be happy, but they're going to have to come up with something. They can't keep just waffling in the wind.
Looking forward next week to going to Phoenix for the Waste Management Phoenix Open. I will definitely give you a report. Are
you bringing your clubs?
I am bringing my clubs, and I'm going to play on Tuesday. I get there on Tuesday afternoon. We'll play. So you and I next week will do, instead of doing it on Wednesday, the show, we'll do it on Tuesday, and then we'll do it at a normal time it'll be Monday, Tuesday, Friday next week.
Okay.
But looking forward to it. The Phoenix Open, Waste Management Phoenix Open, is the #1 event in golf. Yes, the Masters and the U.S. Open and all those have history and tradition, and they're majors, and they're really cool. But as far as fan attendance, there's not a golf event even close to how many people will be at the Phoenix Open when they'll average 150,000 a day at their event, if not more on certain days. And I mean, I'm going to see Duran in concert Friday night, in the 19th hole, at the Hawk's Nest, whatever. And then Wednesday night, going to see Bailey Zimmerman, the country singer, and Hardy, the country singer. They're performing together Wednesday night at the golf tournament. You got to have an extra ticket for that. I mean, it's incredible what they have. Oh, by the way, there's some golf being played around the party.
Well, and I'm assuming you're going to be like Billboard in the Rougarou gear.
Of course.
Because you're going to get on TV. So, I mean, I need a Rougarou jersey. I know you and Gus are going to be on TV. I know this.
All right,
Is
well,
Casey
you're right.
McKenzie going to be there?
He's
Casey
going
was
out
there last year.
He's going out there the first 2 days. Him and Dirk are going out there.
Well, you got to get Gus in some Rougarou gear too, at least a lid,
That's right.
And because you guys are going to be on TV, because I know you're going to work that out.
I hope so. All right, TK, tell us about Tremonti's on the way out.
Well, lasagna for lunch today. They got everything you need: the ribeye rolls, the shrimp rolls, the wine, the liquor, everything you need here at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. The Chairman's Reserve meats, also catering service. They got a catering job going out the door in a couple of minutes. I want to feed that group in the office, small group, large group, it doesn't matter. They've got catering, on-site catering here from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Connect on Facebook and Instagram. Keep up with all the liquor specials, the wine, everything you can imagine, the bourbon, the tequila, plenty of that stuff in here. Check it all out. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, Jefferson Highway in Baton Rouge. Hey, don't forget to like and share this show. We appreciate that very much. We're back Friday morning with another edition of Sports Shorts Daily. On behalf of Ronnie Rance, Mike Tremonti, and the staff over here, I'm Tommy Christ saying have a good day, everyone.